Hello, my name is Rigor Garcendia, and today I'm going to walk you through the progress that the ATC data collection app front-end team did in the spring 2021 semester. We basically did a complete overhaul of the project using React, and so everything that you see, we did this semester. So on the right you see the mobile version, and on the left you see the desktop version. The first page that pops up is the login page, of course. So it's not connected to the backend right now, so let's just go ahead and click on sign in. So the first page that comes up is the student search page. We thought this was a logical page as kind of the quote-unquote home page because this is probably the page that they're going to use the most. And as you can see over here, when you type for something, it narrows down the list of students that are currently available. And so when you click on a student, it brings you to the student profile. Again, none of these are consistent because it's not connected to the backend. So these are just demo objects. So then in a student profile, you get the profile picture, the name, you get a button to add a new session, you get the information as well as any other extra information that wasn't part of the fields that they felt they wanted to put in. And so from here, you can go on edit this student, and it brings you to this form where it just has their information and you can just edit them, right? So as well, then you can go on add a new session for this student, and it brings you to the new session page or add session. And what this does is it allows you to, a therapist will go in here whenever they have a session with a student, and then this is how they record the data. So this imports the program, right? So then over here we have some demos for the different types of behaviors. First of all, there's duration. As you can see, it's the timer that you can stop, resume, and reset. Then we have trials. These are multi-part trials because as you can see over here, we have shoulders, wiggle room, wiggle fingers and stuff. So then these start off empty, and then when you click on them, you initialize it, and then you can toggle between either success or failure. And as you can see, we also have an accordion that you can expand and see the description of that behavior. So then after these are trials, and then this is trial as well, but it only has one part, as you can see, as compared to this one, which has multiple parts. At the bottom of the behavior, you also have the tags. Then we have a probe as well, type of data, which is very similar to the trials, but it's handled a little bit differently. And it's also going to be graphed a little bit differently. And then after that, there is the frequency type of behavior, which is a kind of counter that they can go in and just tally up how many times that behavior occurred, right? So next up, let's go back to student search. As you can see, the nav bar over here, everything is responsive. In desktop, it stays there constantly, and in mobile, for better responsiveness, it pulls up and pulls away. So then another part of the student profile, we did new session. Here it pulls up other info. We did edit. You can also archive students, and it brings you to a box that asks you to make sure, kind of confirm that, hey, you're going to do this. So then you can also edit a program for a specific student as well. And what this does is it brings you to this edit program page. In here you have two tabs. You have the current behaviors and the mastered behaviors. For each one, you have a list of behaviors, and you can expand each of them to see more information, such as the type, the description, the mastery criteria, and any domains that may apply. Over here, you also have more options, such as delete this behavior or move it to mastered. In the corner, you can also click on plus, and this will create a new behavior. And on this, you type the name, the description, you select the type of behavior that you want to add. You also select the domains that you want to apply to it, and then you type in the mastery criteria. And over here, the behaviors are not actually added because the application is not connected to the backend yet. So the last part of the student profile, as you can see, let me show you how this looks. Everything is responsive, so everything. Let's go to both mobile and desktop. So the last part of the student profile is going to be the reports. Give it a second to load. So over here you can see the graphs of all the behavior of all the sessions, and so this is the first one is frequency. It plots the occurrences on a specific day. right? And at the bottom you have the sessions, the session date. And then duration is very similar to frequency, except you don't plot occurrences, you plot the seconds that the behavior was observed for. Then the third demo that we have is for trial type of behaviors, and the way that we graphed it is a stacked bar chart. As you can see over here, the green is the successes and the red is the amount of failures. And at the bottom you have the date, and you have the key down here. And as you can see on the last one, they did a complete success. So then at the very bottom you have the probe type of behaviors, and this is it's graphed differently because it's just a single data point, right? So each little square represents a single session that happened, and it can either be a success. As you can see, you have the date and the value that was observed, as well as the color that indicates that. So then you have the date and for each of the sessions. And as you can see, all the graphs are also responsive, and you can look at them in mobile. So that's all for student. There's also new student, which you can access either from the nav bar or from the student search. Let's move on to employee, which is employee search, which is very similar to student search. It works exactly the same, except when you click on them, obviously they're employees, so it'll bring you to an employee profile, not a student profile. And one of the main key differences between a student profile and an employee profile is that instead of adding a new session, this is going to be done from an administrator perspective. They can edit the students that this employee has access to, right? Which students they're in charge of. And you can either exit or you can save changes. Again, you also have the main information as well as any other info that could be pertinent. For example, unable to work on Fridays. You have an archive with a confirmation, and then as well you have an edit employee page, just like the student, where it basically brings up the information and you can go ahead and edit it if there was some sort of typo or if new information is available. You can also upload a profile picture for both for both students and employees as well. And you can log out when you're done. Thank you for listening. This was Regress India.